Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am at Foley High School with Principal Russ Moore. He is going to give us a little insight into Foley High School and what to expect for the 2019-2020 school year. And I have a couple questions outlined for Coach Moore as well. Once he finishes speaking, I'll ramble on some of my questions. And if you guys should have any questions, concerns, suggestions for Foley High School, please drop those in the comments. I'll be happy to give those to Principal Moore, and I'm sure he'll be happy to address those for you. So we're going to get this started, and we're going to let Coach Moore tell us a little bit about Foley High School. All right, Principal Moore, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about our school. I'm pretty much a lifelong member of the community, so this is something I take a lot of pride in. I'll begin my 26th year here in different roles. As you mentioned earlier, I was a teacher and coach when you were in school and have done a lot of things. This is my 11th year as the principal. Looking forward to a great year. I think some things that I would talk about, particularly your audience, may be people moving into the community. This is a fantastic, tight-knit community. Lots of people do a lot of things to make things possible within our feeder pattern, not just at Foley High School, but at elementary school and middle school and so forth. We take great pride in having something for each kid to get involved in. I think it's very important that they feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves when they're in school, that they have something to belong to, so to speak. I think the way kids think about things is probably different than it was 30 or 40 years ago, and we're trying to adapt and trying to have some interesting things, but also I think we're trying to serve the community by giving kids an opportunity to learn more things about what they'll need to know in the real world as they enter industry or whatever the case may be. Some examples of that would be, obviously, since the beginning of time in public schools, athletics has been something that interests kids. So we have a well-rounded athletic department. Probably our most successful team last year was our girls basketball team, which made it to the Elite Eight, and almost all of those kids, we had one senior graduate. They'll all be back, and looking forward to lots of those teams learning to work together, learning the skills that help in real life, and enjoy themselves as well. It gives kids a reason to want to be here and to do their best in their other classes. Fine arts has always been an important area for kids to identify with. We have an almost 300-person band, one of the finest bands in the state or anywhere I've seen. We have an outstanding theater department, have a wonderful choral department, and had lain dormant for a few years, but we've got been working on that for 5 or 6 years now to build that back up, and we're well on our way to having a great program there. Have a great instructor. Have 2 wonderful visual arts teachers, so lots of painting, charcoals. I don't know a whole lot about all that, but I know that they do great work because I see it in the hall all the time. We have some very talented students. So again, fine arts, sports, a couple areas kids are interested in. For academically motivated kids, and I hope they're all academically motivated, but the ones that love pushing themselves hard, we have as many AP courses as anybody in Baldwin County has. And we have an entire wing where most of our AP teachers are housed, so those kids kind of identify with the AP wing of the school, and they take a lot of their core classes there, have opportunities to take AP language, AP lit, opportunities to take AP biology, chemistry, or AP physics, have opportunities to take AP US history, AP government econ. I'm probably leaving something out. AP statistics, AP calculus, and then we have some kids who take AP art and even AP foreign languages. We have both Spanish and French on campus. So lots of opportunities for those kids. So again, some people, that's their main thing. And then kind of felt like traditionally in Baldwin County, kids who were interested in career tech had to get on a bus and leave here and go to a center. They had to devote half their day to it. Some kids couldn't devote half the day for whatever reason. So we've really tried to build that up. I have a nurse on campus who has her BSN in nursing, and she took the classes to become a certified teacher. And so we have health occupations. We also have a certified athletic trainer that works with those kids. That's a club, it's classes, and there are contests involved. Many of those kids go to the hospital and intern there and get to see all kinds of things about that part of the world. So that's a great program. Have a marketing program. Obviously in this area, marketing is huge. Whether it's in your field or whether it's in some of the other fields that you see. And we have teachers working with kids, and they're even doing some internet marketing this year. So we're trying to move forward the way the world's moving. So So that's a great opportunity for some kids. We have hospitality and tourism, have some links between us and different businesses in hospitality and tourism, hoping to make a bigger connection, a closer connection with the state park as they continue to evolve and build that civic center down there. I feel like there's going to be some opportunities for kids to have some great jobs there. So making a connection there. Have an education and training academy, so those kids are thinking about working in daycare or working in education. They go to the elementary schools, help teachers out, work with kids individually, do different things a couple times a week. So great opportunities. Have ROTC. Our ROTC program was recently evaluated as one of the top 10 in the world that the Air Force has. They do a great job. So again, leadership and teamwork and how to work for the greater good and those types of things are all important. Have a robotics/engineering program. Have a robotics club that goes and competes. There's a lot of higher order thinking there. They're really creating robots to do what a task asks them to have the robot do. So a lot of thinking through, and it's a process, and they have to work together. And then we have 4 types of ag on campus, and no, I don't think we're going to have that many farmers, but really it's about project-based learning and putting your hands on things and working together as a team. I have a building person who's a contractor in the real world, and now he's a teacher, and he teaches kids all things about that. I have a veterinarian who was willing to become a teacher, and she has animal science and veterinary science on campus, and we have animals on campus, and the kids get to go to her clinic sometimes and do things that you wouldn't normally get to do as a high school student. We have a lady who works with the kids on fisheries type things, so there's some pretty involved activities there, as well as fish and wildlife. Then we have more of a traditional ag where it's more about crops. We have a 20-acre farm behind campus that the kids plow and plant and harvest and sell products and so forth and so on. So lots of neat things for kids to do. And again, all of that is really about helping the kids feel like they're part of something that's important, that they're going to be missed if they're not here on a particular day, and just trying to make high school as positive as it can be, but also trying to build some of those skills that we need in the real world, which I think most employers are looking for somebody who will consistently show up to work, who can work well with others, who's going to have a positive attitude. And of course, we're always preaching about being healthy and keeping your system clean from substances that shouldn't be there, because that's a big issue in the world today on all levels. So just doing everything we can to help these kids get ready for the real world, so to speak.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Principal Moore. I do have a couple questions I would like to ask you. I know some schools believe that students learn best through like critical conversations, hands-on, memorization. What's the philosophy about how children learn here at Foley High School?
I think, again, like you said, that we're moving more and more toward critical thinking skills. I think sometimes when I was in school, there was a little more directed instruction. We definitely have students involved in conversations, students presenting information as they've researched it. Teachers are a little bit more facilitators. They're still the authority in the room. They're still there to help when there are problems. But really they're facilitating kids learning to work together, because what we hear from society is that's what we need in the workplace, is people who can work well together and make decisions and solve problems.
Okay. It's my understanding that learning standards are based on state standards or Common Core standards. What do you guys have here at Foley High School, and how does parents gain access to that, or can they gain access to those standards?
Yeah, we have a state course of study, and of course that's with the Alabama State Department of Education, and I can't direct you directly to that website, but on their website anyone can look up those things because they're part of public record. But each teacher has a set of standards they have to get covered for any course that we may have, and they base their instruction on that. But they also use their professional ability to kind of decide how to approach each of those standards as well.
Sounds good. Now, earlier you mentioned feeder schools. What elementary schools and middle schools feed into the high school here?
And the Foley feeder pattern includes several elementary schools. We have Swift Elementary, of course, which is down in Bon Secour. We have Magnolia School, which is out on County Road 55 in the Magnolia Springs area, kind of on the edge of Magnolia Springs and Foley. We have Foley Elementary, of course. We have Foley Intermediate, which is currently an intermediate school, but I think most people probably have heard, of course some of your folks may not. It is being expanded into a brand new K-6 school And so there will be some districting to get both Foley Elementary and Foley, what's going to be the Mathis Elementary School, named after an educator who was very prominent in the Aaronville community for years and years in the 60s on through the 80s for quite some time. But both of those schools will be K-6s beginning in 2020 in the fall. So those are exciting things, and of course Foley Middle School feeds directly into Foley High School. So that's our feeder pattern now, which is a little different from what it was when you were in school. Of course, your viewers may or may not know Foley High School gave birth to Gulf Shores High School in the year 2000, and we are currently expanding into an Alberta High School, which is now 9 through 11, and they'll add their senior class next year. So that's part of the growth in this part of the county. Lots of people want to be here. It's a great place to live, and lots of good things come along with that.
Yes, it is. It's growing. It's growing. So you mentioned a lot of feeder patterns there. How many high school students do you have here?
We will be at between 1550 and 1600.
Okay.
Again, we've been as high as 1950, and that was part of what motivated the school system to go ahead and expand Alberta, which had traditionally been a K-9 on into a K-12 system. And so they have about 400 students who would have been here, okay, at this point in time, and they'll add another 100 and some odd when they add a senior class next year. But we're growing so fast that you may remember, I'm not sure exactly what age group you would fall in, but it took us about 6 years when Gulf Shores left to be back at the same number because the growth is so rapid here. So we figure by the time Alberta fills up, we'll probably be growing at such a rate that we'll be at a pretty large number again. Some people are concerned about that. Again, I feel like as long as we have lots of programs to make sure the kids have people to identify with and groups to identify with, we don't ever want kids to feel anonymous. And even when we were at 1950, we felt like we did a pretty good job of giving kids a place to belong. One other thing that we do that's pretty unique, and it's highly recognized by the state and other groups as being a good way to do things, is we have a homeroom teacher who keeps our kids for 4 years, and that homeroom teacher helps me at graduation present their credentials to them as they graduate. And that person sees them 10 minutes each morning. We have a little news show that we show about what's going on campus each morning, and then when we have progress reports, that person goes over those with the kids. And that's a person above and beyond their school counselor who often has 400 kids on their caseload. This homeroom teacher has 20 to 25, and that's somebody else to say, well, something's going on with Johnny. He's always at school and he's been missing quite a bit here lately. We may need to check on, make sure things are okay at home, things of that nature. So again, just trying to have as many points of contact and as many places to be supportive of kids as possible so that they know that they're important.
Yeah. You mentioned 20 to 25 in a homeroom. Is that average class size as well?
It would be a little larger in some cases. We don't have very many that are over 30, but it's more 28 is kind of what we shoot for. There are going to be some that are a little bit larger, some that are a little bit smaller. Typically, I'd say the range is typically going to be from 18 to 33 or so, but 28 is probably the most common number.
Okay. What professional development opportunities do teachers have here at Foley, and how do they collaborate?
Well, there are lots of those involved that everyone has access to. Our system is very forward-thinking as far as that goes, and we recently concluded a conference we call GRITS, and I can't remember what GRITS stands for right this second, but it's a conference where a lot of teachers went for a lot of PD. But on our campus itself, we have a curriculum leader, we have a leadership team, and a lot of our teachers have unique skills, and we provide lots of opportunities for teachers to have PD both during the day, after school, different opportunities, different kinds of opportunities for different people's schedule throughout the year. So we've got a constant system of collaboration, as you mentioned. Our English teachers have a common planning block, so they meet together quite often. Our math teachers have a common planning block. The core subjects do that, so all four, English, math, science, social studies, have lots of interaction of that type. And then we have regular meetings for the entire campus to make sure that we're touching on the things that are important to us at that moment in time.
Sounds good. Let's talk dress code. A lot of parents want to know about the dress code. What's the dress code here at Foley High?
Well, the county has that's evolved over time, and ultimately it's really come down to being pretty simple. Um, Ultimately, we need to have on pants that cover everything appropriate. We say that if you're wearing shorts or a skirt, that should be at least as long as your fingertips will be down by your side. Um, Shirts, the main thing with shirts nowadays is that you shouldn't have any alcohol or profanity or drug references or anything inappropriate on them. Otherwise, they need to cover everything that's important. They need to be able to. We don't enforce tucking in, but they need to be long enough to be tucked in. In other words, cover the belly button area and cover everything that's important up top. Just basic, decent, cover your body, and let's come to school to have school clothing.
Okay. How does the high school support students who may have academic, social, or emotional difficulties?
Have lots of situations along those lines. Everything from clubs to certain students would have very specific identified needs, and they might have an individualized education plan. Parents whose students have that would know what that is, and parents who might not. Um, Typically, if you feel like there are some serious academic deficiencies, you probably mention that to some teachers during elementary or middle school grades, and they've probably been evaluated. But on occasion, we have people evaluated this late in their career, and an individualized education plan addresses those needs and gives direction to the teachers as to how they can be helpful in those areas. We also have what we call response to intervention. That's an Alabama program that our teachers do extremely well. When someone is struggling academically, we look at different things we can do that might help them be more successful. And we experiment with those in all their classes, and we gather data and we look and see how things are working. And if that doesn't work, we try something different. But we have a process by which anybody who seems to be beginning to slip through the cracks, we're going to have a group of people working on how can we intervene and help out with that.
That sounds good. Now, earlier you mentioned the number on the students that you have here at Foley High School, and of course, with those large numbers, it's going to be behavior issues there. So, what system and strategies do you have in place to handle the misbehavior and to keep the kids safe here at Foley High School?
Yeah, well, I think school is like any other part of society. I think about 90% of your people typically are very cooperative, and 10% of the people are the ones that you kind of have to work with extra, whether you're at work or whether you're out at the park or at the beach or whether you're in a school. And so we work with those. We, of course, have a student code of conduct, which is put out by the entire school system. One of my assistant principals recently met with a committee to kind of fine tune some of those things, but that's something that's system wide, and we enforce those things. Of course, I have 4 assistant principals. We have 5 counselors, so we're always looking to see what we can do to help correct the problem as well as providing consequences when necessary. Of course, I think teachers and the structure they provide in the classroom and the positive things going on in the classroom are the first line of defense as far as keeping people engaged and involved and as excited about what's going on in the classroom as possible. We typically have fewer issues when that's going on the way we want it to go on. But some people sometimes are just having a bad day, and a lot of times we may need to check and see if there's something we can do to help, and sometimes we just need to give them a chance to be away from everybody else for a little bit to take care of whatever's needed. That might mean just being in the assistant principal's office or being with a counselor for a little bit. It might be on campus detention of some sort in some cases. Unfortunately, sometimes we need to have off-campus suspensions and things of that nature. But ultimately, our goal is to try to help each kid learn to be productive in this part of society, because it doesn't matter whether they're here or 30 years from now, there are always going to be challenges, and they've got to learn how to deal with those in a positive manner as much as possible.
All right, that sounds good. A couple more questions here for you. Does Foley High School partner with any local businesses? I know you had mentioned the Gulf State Park earlier that provides the students from Foley employment opportunities.
Yeah, we have a tremendous amount of input from the community as far as actual jobs and those things of that nature. I think there's such a demand in our community that I don't feel like very few people have made that type of connection. We are working with the South Falls Chamber of Commerce. They're very interested in getting some apprenticeship programs in place, which is above and beyond job experience. You know, that the idea of an apprentice really has the potential to lead to a much better job than a lot of kids would get at a younger age as they kind of work in and get exposed to that industry or that business and so forth. That's kind of in the evolutionary phases, but we have some kids who've already been signed up for some of those, so that's exciting. We consistently have some of our larger employers, and I won't list anybody specifically, let us know that they may have a need for 20 new employees or whatever the case may be, and we pass that on to kids. We sometimes have things on the news when we know that there are needs and so forth. We have job fairs, we have career fairs, we have all those situations. Lots of parts of our community come in and participate in those. If anybody out there is interested in that, Tiffany Howard is my teacher on campus who kind of coordinates that. She's one of my business teachers, does a wonderful job. Just contact the school and we'll put you in contact with her. But we have lots of things along that nature, trying to make that connection, both for the kids and for our community.
Sounds good. Any special events coming up for the kids of Foley High School, or the students, should I say, of Foley High School, or any events that the community can get involved in?
Yes, and I wish I had it right in front of me. August 10th, we'll be in the park, at Heritage Park, where the gazebo is there in the middle of town, in the morning. And we'll kind of have a little kickoff to the year, a little bit of a pep rally, so to speak. That is on our website, and if you just foleyhighschool.com, you can get to it. I don't have that in my head right this moment, what time it is and things of that nature. That's a pretty neat thing. The band will be there, a lot of different activities and groups will be there to kind of celebrate a kickoff to school, so to speak. Of course, the kids report the following Wednesday, so it'll be upon us here pretty soon. But that's the most immediate thing. Open house for us, if you're a parent, is always the Thursday after Labor Day, and we'll be announcing things about that and getting that out. That's probably already on the website as well, but we'll certainly be putting that out in the near future in more detail. But lots of opportunities like that. Of course, we get into the fall season. Lots of people like to come to the stadium and see the band play and see the ball team play, and ROTC kids are involved, and cheerleaders are involved, and student bodies involved. So that's a community event, so things of that nature will be things that come to mind.
Okay. And then last but most definitely not least, us as parents, or we as parents, what can we do to help make your life easier here at Foley High School, and the staff, the teachers, the coaches? I know my son will be coming into the 9th grade here. He's excited about it, and I'm excited about it. So what can parents like myself do to help you out?
Yeah, I think it's important that we all remember that even though they're in high school, they're not grown, and we continue to monitor their behavior, monitor who their friends are and things of that nature, just like we have for the last 14 years before they get here. It's not time to hand them off to the world quite yet. We have tons and tons and tons of great kids here, and we have kids who may or may not be a great influence at the same time. So we want to monitor our students. That's the number one thing. I think make connection with your teachers. All the teachers have a school email address that can be seen on the school website. I think it's great when parents send an email and say, "Hey, I'm Johnny's parent. Just want to say, hey, looking forward to a great year. If you ever need anything, please let me know." We really work hard to try to have our parents make contact with parents our teachers make contact with parents, both for good things and when there are needs. But I think a lot of that needs to start on that side too. And sometimes our kids really want us to back off, and I think there's a time for that, but we don't want to back off completely. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to stay involved with your student, make sure that you know who they're spending time with and what they're spending time doing. They'll be grown soon enough. These 4 years will go by really quickly for your freshman and everybody else's freshman. I have 4 children of my own, and 2 of them are grown now, and my last 2 are seniors and juniors, and it seems like yesterday they were born, so it happens very quickly. But be involved, come to their activities, support school activities in general, even if your students aren't specifically involved. Just that type of support's a big deal, and it's important.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Principal Moore. It has been a pleasure. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come out and talk to you, back to my hometown, home school, my alumni, and as always, go Lions.
Go Lions.